Attention remodeling entrepreneurs. Are you ready to rise? Ryan Paul Adams and Kyle Hunt are your hosts of Remodelers on the Rise. A weekly podcast where they interview today's most inspiring entrepreneurs from the remodeling world who share their journey and empower you to become the next remodeler on the rise. And now, here are your hosts.
Remodelers on the Rise, show number 3.
Welcome to Remodelers on the Rise. I am your host, Kyle Hunt, and alongside me is the co-host, Ryan Paul Adams. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Kyle, what's up?
Not much. So this is Remodelers on the Rise podcast number 3, and I'm going to get started just by introducing our guest very briefly. I'm going to let him take care of most of the introductions. We're with Neil Parsons with Design Build Pros. Today he's in Toms River, New Jersey, and we were just talking before we started the recording that what was it? You're going to be at the 50-yard line of the Super Bowl. We're recording this, just before Super Bowl Sunday. You're such a successful design, build, remodeler, and you have so much to share. I guarantee you have those tickets on the 50-yard line, right?
I wish, but if I did, I'd probably give them away to one of my favorite clients so I can watch it in my recliner on my big screen, high-def TV, nice and warm and cozy.
I don't want to be out there either.
There you go. Well, Neil, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, share us a little bit about you and your business.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Ryan. My company, Design Build Pros, has a unique business model, and I will simplify it broadly. We do 3 general things. We provide project design and development directly for homeowners planning a remodeling project. The package that we provide for them consists of designs, scope of work breakdown, itemized budgets, plus or minus options, and a timeline schedule for production. And we work with them on this to dot the I's, cross the T's, and then help them find or figure out how the job is going to be built, whether it's going to be with a remodeler that I'm going to refer, one of their remodelers, or whether they DIY or GC it themselves. Then secondly, we also provide the same service on behalf of a qualified remodeler who will use us as their remote design development team. Instead of having a designer or an architect on staff, they'll have us come in as Design Build Pros and prepare the same package for the client for them. And then thirdly, we work directly with remodelers, helping them organize their business, grow their business, become better remodelers of what they do, providing them with systems and teaching them how to sell more, faster, and with greater profit.
See, and that's why I let you handle that introduction, because I don't think I could have done any better.
Very cool business model. I love it.
Thank you.
And Neil, why don't you share a little bit about yourself outside of work, a little bit of who you are, what your interests are outside of that?
I'm a regular guy, family man, close to being an empty nester. My son's in college. Dog lover, 2 dogs at home, Slugger and Buddy. Have to give them a plug. Because if anybody follows me on Facebook, they'll see that they're up there quite often.
They'd be ticked off if they listened to this recording and you didn't give them a shout out.
Without a doubt. Sports fan. I enjoy the occasional good glass of red wine, cooking, grilling, and TV and movies.
Now, it sounds like you're getting emotional about that empty nester thing. You guys could just start over again, with a brand new one.
A brand new dog, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Another animal.
Or the market.
There you go. Ryan, why don't you get started with the first question?
Yeah, Neil, is there any success quote or mantra that you kind of live by, and an example of how you might apply this to your life or your business?
One of my friends / mentors one time gave me the quote, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yes.
And that's definitely my business mantra. I show up every day, I work hard, and the breaks that usually come through attrition and that hard work and effort, which ultimately pay off.
You got it.
Share not to take it too negative here, Neil, but share a story of a time in your business or in your journey that you encountered some failure. If you could take us to that time in your life, tell us that story, maybe share a few lessons learned from that.
Okay. My overall background, I'm a carpenter by trade, vinyl window installer, siding installer, kitchen carpenter, did additions through the 80s after high school. in the early 90s, I tried to create and grow a business too quick, too fast. I made 2 very bad hires in key positions, and I tried to create a large business from a small concept without having systems, plans, business models, and goals set up. And it didn't work very well.
Tough to do, yeah.
So you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants more so than being a little more structured, and which is interesting, because when I think of you, Neil, we've gotten to know each other a little bit over the last several years. Something that I can see very, very clearly is that you are very process-driven, systematic-driven. We need to have systems for everything. So was that kind of the impetus for going that route? Was the pain that you experienced by not having that in place?
Without a doubt, Kyle, and I really feel that all of us, the sum of what everyone is today, is the life lessons that they've learned in the past.
A lot of those come from mistakes, right? Yep.
That's right. I tell any new hire, the first thing I tell them is you're going to make mistakes.
Yep.
Make them quickly, make them one time, never make them again, and move on. The quicker you make them, the better you'll be.
This might come up later, but I just want to make sure we cover it a little bit. Talk to our listeners about processes and systems and the importance of that in their remodeling business.
Well, I can't speak of that enough. Systems for tracking things that you've done, to look back historically to see what was successful, what was profitable, what worked, what didn't work. Having good records, because we want to build a database of clients and projects, which is going to give us not only contact information for those clients, but historical data on actual and real jobs. Too many remodelers rely on national database estimating programs, but to me, nothing works better than the history of actual jobs that you've produced in your own local market through your own company and systems. Helps you evaluate and understand the numbers better and apply them going forward.
But Neil, I'm too busy to analyze things like that. I'm too busy doing this, man. How am I supposed to be able to do that?
Well, here's another good quote that I've gotten along the way. A busy man can always find the time.
You got it. Now, let's take it to that moment in your life where you had a breakthrough, an aha moment. Is there anything you can share with us there that you turned that into a big success?
Yes, Ryan. Actually, probably 4 or 5 years ago, my career has taken me in different paths: business owner, carpenter, sales manager, sales director. My brother and I, who've always worked together in some venue. My brother's actually almost to the day 15 years younger than me. And we have a good
You see what I'm saying? You can start over once the one is getting out of the house. You basically start over.
That's true.
Well, I have his kids, my nephews, vicariously. So,
all right.
Is this Jason we're talking about?
My brother Jason, yes. There's his plug too. What we saw in our years in the business is all the inherent problems that either remodelers made or mistakes that homeowners have made. And through our life experience, we have the answers on how to prevent or correct almost all of those problems. And working for remodelers in the past, sharing those thoughts and ideas, not every one of them was open to saying, okay, we'll change the ways we do certain things to make this better. And I didn't like being a part of that. So what we decided to do is to create this business model that we have today, and put all those things in place, saying, okay, these are the things that work. Share them with people. So when we sit down and talk with a homeowner, we're actually giving them the under the hood, behind the curtain information about the remodeling industry, and we want to educate them to help them not make the same mistakes that people have done in the past. And then conversely, set up a project and introduce the remodeler where all the parameters have been set, so they have no choice but to follow the good guideline that we've created.
Is it safe to say you've pretty much seen it all when it comes to remodeling homes at this point?
Well, I would never say never, but I tell people, quite often I tell people I make a fairly good living now, but when I retire and write my book about everything that I've seen, I'll make a fortune.
Yeah. Is there anything in your business right now that's really exciting you?
Well, the thing that excites us is that my brother and I, again, have the clean slate. There's no other company that we're aware of that does exactly what we do anywhere in the country. So we're laying the foundation and constantly working on our SOP, standard operating procedure,
Sure.
to make sure what we have works, makes sense, creates a professional, pleasant experience for the homeowners, the remodelers, and the vendors. And then our ultimate goal is to franchise and or create affiliate programs across the country.
There you go. That makes a lot of sense.
When's that going to happen, Neil? What's taking you so long?
2020. Again, on my slow and steady wins the race.
Good.
So,
there we go.
So 2020, that'll be in place, and I'll be retired.
Nice.
Beautiful. Hey, before we get into the lightning round questions, I want to interject one other question that kind of came up. What I see as kind of a real key to success in the remodeling industry is our ability to give the client not just an okay or a decent experience, but a truly wonderful remodeling experience. Can you speak to that a little bit? You know, what do you guys do, or what should remodelers be doing? You can answer it either way, to really put that experience for the client over the top.
There's many things that go to that, and yes, a lot of remodelers seek for making a customer happy. Making a customer happy is the low water mark, because right. Anything below that is red line, is failure, is problems, is issues. We want to exceed their expectations, and I know everybody says that, under promise, over deliver, but it's got to be real applications. It's got to be commitment to guaranteed on-time completion. It's got to be a commitment to clear transparency in information and pricing. It's got to be a commitment to constant communication and awareness. It's got to be a commitment to only offering the best remodeling and construction practices and applications.
It's demanding excellence from start to finish, is what you're saying.
Correct, and don't seek to the level of the client's expectation, because we do meet clients that have lowered expectations. But that's
Sure.
not good for us. We're going to bring them up to our level of expectation, or they're not going to become our client.
There you go.
Well, it only takes one or two bad experiences with clients where, it can ruin a business. It really can. So doing all the things you just mentioned are crucially important.
Excellent. So I have a hunch that you are ready for the lightning round here, Neil. Are you ready?
Possibly. We'll find out.
Rapid fire through some questions here. Ryan, why don't you start with one?
Let's start off with, what is the best business advice you've ever received?
Another mentor told me one time, listen and absorb information and advice from colleagues and mentors, but never change who you are and what your business is. Therefore, take the information in, take out the parts that you think will work for you, but don't wholesale change and become something you're not.
Yeah, I think that's important. I've made that mistake a lot of times where I try to take someone else's ideas and information and try to make that and integrate that right into what I'm doing, but not really adjusting for all the other things that I have in place. So that's huge.
It's the third or fourth time you've mentioned mentors, Neil. Talk to us about the importance of mentors and give us shine a little light, give us a little visibility on who those people are. Not necessarily by name, but where they came from. And
well, again, mentors, it's when we say mentor, everyone, a lot of times people have a picture of a old retiree, that's sitting on the top of a mountain. Sometimes it's a contemporary. Sometimes it's somebody younger than you. Sometimes it's somebody that doesn't even realize they're a mentor, but you see how they act, the way they talk, the way they carry themselves, and you'll get information from them. You'll absorb it from them. But, again, it's a two-way street. I think you're going to receive more good information openly from people if you yourself are willing to share good information that you have. I believe life and business wise, I believe in karma. So therefore you get back what you put out.
Very good. Can you share one of your personal habits that you believe attributes to your success?
I mentioned it earlier, but without a doubt, it's hard work. Hard work, organization. Again, I'm at my desk 7 days a week, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm available to my staff, colleagues, clients, remodelers, homeowners 7 days a week. and I'm not saying that in a complaining manner or a burdenous manner. I enjoy what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the old saying is if you find something that you'll love to do, you'll never work a day in your life.
I have a quick question. Have you ever read the book, The 4-Hour Workweek?
No, I have not.
Do you think it's possible? Because just my experience is that, like, if you really want to achieve something great in your life, it's going to take quite a bit of time and effort to get to that point. I feel like that book is great. I've learned a lot, but I don't know that it's necessarily possible in a lot of the industries that I see.
Well, I'll answer that a couple ways, Ryan. First, I have not read a book in 20 years. My attention span, like that of my clients, diminishes year upon year. So therefore, my reading is limited to small blogs, things I see on websites. Any email that Kyle puts out.
That a boy.
There you go.
There's another shameless plug.
Yeah.
But I believe, again, I've never read that book. I'm aware of it.
Sure.
But to me, efficiencies.
Yep.
To me, it's not the time you put in, it's what you put into the time. So if people are not organized and don't have a system and attention to detail, they may put in a 12-hour day and not get much accomplished.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, when you mentioned the 7 days a week and being available, talk to us about balance a little bit. How do you kind of keep, you mentioned earlier family man, how do you keep that balance in your life?
It's tough. My family would like me to work less. But just like I have a commitment to my family, I have a commitment to those that I work for and with, to be available to them, to not drop the ball like many people in the industry do.
Gotcha. Well, this question is going to stink for you because you're not that much of a reader. But what book would you recommend, or maybe in your case, what pages from a book would you recommend to Remodelers on the Rise listeners?
The last book that I read that was related to business was, I think the book is from the early 90s, and I probably read it in the mid-90s. It's called Sales Magic by Kerry Johnson. Actually, I still have it on my bookshelf. I do have a bookshelf. I just don't.
It's just for books, though.
Collecting dust.
Yeah.
Yes. And it is about NLP, neuralistic lingual programming, body language, reading people. Because when we talk about selling is understanding who you're interacting with. Now, I'll take a step back to systems. If you don't have proper systems in place and you don't understand and know your systems, you'll never be able to pay attention to somebody's body language. You need to know these systems like the back of your hand, like a professional athlete stepping into the batter's box or going onto the football field.
Sure.
Then you can pay attention to what people are saying, how they're reacting to what you're saying. So therefore, to me, and I'm sure there's been many books since then written on NLP, but that is definitely, it's a fairly easy read, and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Excellent.
So we talked a lot about systems, Neil, throughout this conversation. Is there any resource or something that you could share with our listeners that might help them develop a better system?
Couple things, Ryan. I have plenty of that available, and I think Kyle can attest to it. I'm more than glad to share with people many of the stuff that I have free of charge, my time or the information I have. But one thing I would suggest to anyone, any remodeler listening or any homeowner, my free ebook is called Improving the Remodeling Estimate, and it's written about what I feel should happen at that initial homeowner remodeler meeting from both sides of the table, what the homeowner should do and expect and what the remodeler should do and expect. And not only is that a good guideline, but within there are other free available things. As a matter of fact, it just popped up on my inbox. I have a remodeler asking for my handout entitled, What is Really Important to You for This Project? And then I have another one called 12 Steps to a Professional Remodeling Sale. It's an outline of what we think should happen, again, metronome of what a remodeler should do once they get in a house.
Oh, that sounds excellent. Yeah, any of that I think would be immensely helpful. And as a reminder to our audience, this show, along with a full transcription and detailed show notes, will be available on remodelersontherise.com/show3.
Any other questions, guys?
Well, I'm sorry, I had muted because I was coughing, but I said that ebook will also be on that resource page. I do have a final question for you, Neil. It's a little bit of a doozy. It's a tough one. All right? You ready?
Fire away.
Fire away. So imagine you woke up tomorrow morning and you were in the same exact business, but you knew no one, had no sales, and only $500 of startup money, and your life depended on you selling something in the next 7 days. You still have all the experience and knowledge you currently have. Your food and shelter is taken care of, but all you have is a laptop and $500. What would you do in the next 7 days to survive and generate new business? And remember, your life depends on it.
I love pressure. First off, the first day, the first morning with that laptop, I would send out an email blast to my database. And again, being organized and a systems person, I have 10,000 emails in my database.
Nice.
So I would send that out. I would update all my social media with a message to all my friends, family, colleagues, and previous clients about what I need and what I'm looking for. And then with the $500, I would probably allocate $100 for gasoline for travel. Then I would set up appointments, and I would go see every previous client that I could in that 1 week period. And with the remaining $400, on my way to each client, I would pick up a modest gift, maybe some fresh cut flowers, maybe a small gift certificate, maybe a pizza, depending on who the client is. Sit down, meet with the client, look for future business from that client and/or referrals.
Boom.
That's excellent. Yeah, it's interesting. We've asked that question a few times, and no one's mentioned going to all of their previous clients and visiting them physically, which I think would be one of the first. Yeah, I think that's huge.
Ryan, I get remodelers that ask me commonly, say, what internet lead generation source should I use? And I say, I won't even validate with that an answer until you can show me that you've tapped into every resource with your database, your previous clients, your job sites, your SEO on your website. Once you've done all those things and you've maximized those, then we can talk about third-party lead generation.
Exactly.
You're right on.
Get the fundamentals in place, right? When I was up speaking in Traverse City last week, and so what do you think of Facebook fan pages? And I said, okay, I did a remodel project with you 2 years ago. Have I heard from you since then? Her answer was no. I said, I hate Facebook fan pages for you. Don't even sniff it. Don't even think about it. So, amen, Brother Parsons.
Thank you.
That was great. Neil, is there a place where people can find you, get a hold of you, and is there anything else that you wanted to share today with the audience?
Well, first, Ryan, I pride myself in being omnipresent. The first place anyone should go for my brother or I would be our website, which is www.designbuildpros.com. A lot of resources on there that'll give you all the avenues to our social media, a lot of content, a lot of resource, that free ebook for download. But also what we have on there, which is popular with both homeowners and remodelers, is we have an app on there where somebody can go in and schedule a 15-minute phone conversation with my brother and I. So convenient to their schedule and our availability, they'll make an appointment and we will call them at that time, and we can discuss a project, their next project they're going to do. If it's a remodeler, we can talk about their business in the industry. That leads back to our organization, and the fact that in the e-world, a lot of people have gotten away from phone calls, and I'll admit that it is tough with all the other stuff that we do. But again, if I have 15 minutes blocked out of my calendar to make a phone call to a homeowner or a remodeler, I gladly do.
Excellent. So we opened this conversation talking about the Super Bowl because you're just south of there. Yeah. Who do you got? Who's your pick?
Well, I'm a longtime Colts fan, back to Johnny Unitas days. That's how old I am, guys. Okay. So therefore, I'm pulling for the Broncos and Peyton Manning.
Okay. All right. So Well, you said you're pulling for. That's your prediction, though, right?
I'm rooting for them, and yes, since the weather's going to be pretty good, I'm going to go with the offense. Go with the Broncos.
All right. So people are either laughing at you or saying, "Man, this guy's a genius," because they're going to be listening to this after the Super Bowl. So Neil, home run. Thank you very much. Really appreciate the insight, the knowledge, the wonderful information you shared. And just as a friendly reminder to all of our listeners, you can check us out at remodelersontherise.com. And if you take 2 minutes to review and rate our show on iTunes, the more reviews and ratings we get on there, the better chance that other people like yourself can find the show. So we appreciate you all tuning in, and thank you so much to Neil for being on the show today, and to my co-host Ryan, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, gents.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, guys.
Remember, Remodelers on the Rise listeners, to head over to iTunes to like and review our show. You can also find today's interviews, full transcripts, and additional free resources at remodelersontherise.com. On behalf of Kyle and Ryan, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.